Masters. Today, Bob is going to be giving a speech, project number 7, Research Your Topic, and it's going to be about Sam Adams. And my first inclination, of course, is that's awesome. I love Sam Adams, especially the cherry wheat. I realize he's probably talking about the gentleman actually on the bottle, which he is. So he's going to be informing the group about Sam Adams, and then you can decide. I guess he was a slightly controversial figure, which I did not know. Beer is not controversial at all, is it?
So, it goes down easy.
That's right. So, without further ado, Bob Smith, 5 to 7 minutes, Bob, this one? Okay, timer, 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, when I say Samuel Adams, what is the first thing that pops into your minds?
Cherry wheat. Yeah,
Sorry. I don't. I think of Samuel Adams, the great early American statesman, a political philosopher, one of the founding fathers of this great country, and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Nah, I think of beer also. And that was partially why I picked Samuel Adams. I knew a lot about the founding fathers. I like history. But I knew very little about him other than snippets I'd seen on the History Channel or beer commercials. Going into my research, I thought, well, I know 3 things about him. He's got to be from Boston. Why would they call it Boston Lager if he wasn't? He had to be a relative of the second and 6th presidents, John and John Quincy Adams. And he also must have been a brewmaster. Well, as I got into the research, I realized 2 out of 3 isn't bad. He did grow up in Boston. He was a cousin to both John Adams and John Quincy Adams. And historians feel that he really drove John Adams towards a political future. As far as a brewmaster, apparently he never was. But what he did at one point was work in the family business, which was a malt house. And he eventually attained the honored title of maltster. Not quite what a brewmaster is, but at that time he was doing well. Back to the beginning for Samuel Adams. He was born in 1722 in Boston. He was one of 12 children born to Samuel Adams Sr. and Mary Adams. Fortunate for the country, and I suppose even luckier for him, he was one of 3 children that lived past the age of 3. Very high infant mortality rate at that time. So I suppose lucky for the country, even more lucky for him. Also, the family was very prosperous and politically connected. His father had run several businesses, very astute business person, and also politically well connected, which served Samuel Jr. well in his future. He went to Harvard, graduated with a law degree that he apparently never used. When he got done, his father gave him 1,000 British pounds, a tidy sum of money in those days, to start a business. Well, he very quickly loaned half of that money to his friends who had really no means or probably no intention of ever paying it back. The rest, he just frittered away on his own. So now he's back home again, broke. But his father's politically well connected. He says, I can take care of you. So he pulled some strings, got him the title of tax collector. He was actually working for the British Crown. As bad a business person as he was even worse as a tax collector. One, he never collected taxes from his friends. And he had a lot of friends. Probably more as he became a tax collector, more and more friends. He also would not collect money from people that were enduring financial hardships. Or apparently from anybody that told him they were having financial difficulties. As one historian, Pauline Maier, mentioned, he is a man ultimately uninterested in either making or possessing money. He is probably of the founding fathers, perhaps maybe the most controversial. And even to this day, political and historical scholars still debate his legacy. And a lot of times they debate the same exact points, just take different viewpoints. I would have to say he's probably the most dichotomous of all of our founding fathers. He was, on the positive side, people say, well, he was a great individual and definitely steered this country to independence. And they point out his leadership of Boston town meetings. They talk about his opposition and ultimate repeal of several tax laws that were placed onto the colonies by the British Crown without their representation. A slogan you may have heard, taxation without representation. He was definitely supporting repealing those taxes. He also participated in both the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress. At the Second Continental Congress, he worked more in the background as a parliamentary whip, but as they wrapped things up, Thomas Jefferson basically said he was the driving force that brought the rest of the colonists to understand independence is the right choice as we go forward. He even got a bit of street cred from other patriots. At the first battle of the Revolutionary War, Lexington, Concord, the royal governor provided pardons to everyone except 2 people that participated. Samuel Adams was one of those people that did not get a pardon. The people on the other side of the dichotomy, they say he was just a master of propaganda and used his speaking ability, and maybe that's where his lawyer skill came in, to wrap up crowds into a frenzy, and through violence, he was able to achieve his goals. They point to his opposition to the Stamp Act, which was one of the acts that his supporters point to. He helped repeal that, because they said the Stamp Act ended up, he whipped a crowd into a frenzy, and they went and destroyed the lieutenant governor's house. They give him credit or blame for inciting the Boston Massacre. They say he caused the British to feel they had to occupy Boston because of his boycott of British goods, and he also was one of the key members of the Boston Tea Party. It is said that he generated the signal that said to the mob, let's go. In closing, as I look back over the Founding Fathers, I find him probably one of the most interesting characters from that time period. And if I was going to sit down and have a cold one with one of the Founding Fathers, I think it would have to be with Samuel Adams, and we'd be drinking a beer of his namesake. Thank you.